Welcome to Circles Off, episode number 69.
The big 6'9".
Jared Allen, famous 69. David Bakhtiari, left tackle of the Green Bay Packers.
You know who tried to wear it?
Dennis Rodman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did he try?
Yes. He asked
What
for
about
69.
the NHL?
NHL, I can't think of anyone. MLB was Bronson Arroyo.
I believe Doug the Thug Glatt wore number 69.
Greg McKegg wore 69, a very unfamous NHLer, but if you're in the local Toronto market, you would remember that.
Traded for Zach Hyman.
Yes. But, yep, this is a milestone episode.
Was Dougie Glatt 69?
Yeah.
Doug
Pick
Glatt.
69. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it. But so no NBAers. I mean, I'm sure there's way more than that I'm not forgetting about. But
Bakhtiari's a legend for those beer chugs.
Bakhtiari is a legend. I'd like to see him back on the field at some point.
Yeah, they need him.
They need him in some capacity. So,
Are we ready for the guests, or can I rant on this Bills first touchdown thing?
sure, go for a rant, and then we'll bring in our guest for the week.
Nice. I was smiling ear to ear. I saw a video on Twitter. For everyone who watched this past couple days ago, Buffalo Bills first touchdown. Reggie Gilliam, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Caught a screen out the backfield, slipped a tackle, ran into the end zone. A lot of people had first touchdown tickets on that. You could got him at plus 10,000, some even better than that. But what I want to say is, this video I saw made me smile so much, because this is literally what gambling, or like for fun, and this is the fun of gambling. So it was like some sort of college, maybe like a little frat house or like a college house somewhere in the US. And it was like these kids, probably 21, 22 years old, around there. They all bet Reggie Gilliam first touchdown. They got it at plus 7,000. So I presume that was the DraftKings number. So they were probably in a legal state. They bet on DraftKings plus 7,000. Didn't get the best number. Obviously, they should have. Didn't care about that. They probably bet, whatever, I'm estimating here, they probably bet like $5, which is completely fine. College kid, bet $5 on a first touchdown, Reggie Gilliam. They videotaped it when they were in the red zone. And we've all been there. You see your guy on the screen, like, oh, because you have a big long shot. You just hope he's on the field in the red zone. That's really all you can ask for.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're like, oh my God, he's there. I see him.
Right.
I see him. He's on the screen. He's on the screen. He catches it. It does not look like he's getting in the end zone.
Looks like he's going to get dusted 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Looks like he's going to get dusted. They're all going nuts. He slips the tackle. They're like, go, go, go. He runs into the end zone. They all cash their bet. They're obviously going a buck wild, hugging each other, jumping up and down. They're videotaping it. And the reason I'm like, I love that. So they probably won $350, $300, something like that. Who knows? Maybe 700 if someone bet a tenner. But what a cash, because they will never forget that for the rest of their lives. Like they will be 50 years old. They will be 80 years old talking to their grandkids, or 50 years old talking to their kids about sports betting. And they will never forget that they hit this random guy, Reggie Gilliam, who no one probably will ever have heard of by that time.
Yep.
No one will remember. And they'll be like, we had him to hit the first touchdown, and this is what happened. And they'll show that video, and like, it just legit. That is what it's all about, man. That is so much fun.
Yeah, it's the sense of community with sports betting, like win together, lose together. We've talked about this with content creators before, some that are able to grow massive followings even though they consistently lose at picks. It's because people want to bet together and have those experiences, whether it is win or lose. Now, obviously, the win is way better. At the betstamp office, we've talked about the pinata picks that Sports Interaction does on this podcast before, but we won a big one with Scotty Scheffler, where everybody, like people who are not even golf fans, are now watching the final round on Sunday. Live updates via Telegram chat. People are going nuts. Scheffler hits an amazing shot out of the bunker on 18. And we're not even together, but you can feel the excitement that everyone is going through at that moment. Now, obviously, there's an added element when everyone's together. You know, everyone's slapping high fives. One guy, probably gets punched in the nuts as a joke or something like that, as friends like to do or whatever. But yeah, it's amazing. That type of experience, it doesn't really get better than that. There's one thing winning at sports betting on your own, celebrating with a group of people who all cashed on the same bet. It's fantastic.
Yeah, like I used to do that with my buddies every year on Thanksgiving. We pick a first touchdown scorer long shot, and we all ride it together. Like I'll even remember we hit some dumb ones. They weren't even that long odds. Like we hit Adrian Peterson when he was on the Lions. Like what a cash. Like, let's go Adrian Peterson. No, not even a good bet, just a dumb, you're going to lose money on it. Yeah. I even remember one time we had this tight end at the time, Anthony Firkser. He still plays right now. But this was before he was even like getting any snaps. And we had Firkser for first touchdown. And he didn't catch it. I don't even think he got a catch in the game. But he was in the red zone and got a red zone target in the end zone. He didn't catch it, but he had a red zone target, and we were going, just that alone, I won't even forget. We were going so nuts.
Yeah. Now it's definitely the year of the fullback now. It's the fullback resurgence in terms of first touchdown score, anytime touchdown score.
Horvath.
Yeah, it's actually getting kind of nuts now. But NFL betting is great. I'm glad to have football back. We have been listening to your requests. For those who are in the Betstamp Discord, all the advice and guest requests that you've had for Circles Off. Before we get into our guest here this week, once again, this episode of Circles Off sponsored by the Power Rank Sports Betting newsletter. Valuable, concise, and entertaining. Dr. Ed Fang makes this his 3 goals with each correspondence, which mostly covers the NFL and college football. Ed is a personal friend of myself and Johnny's, and he's a data scientist who has informed my betting with his work. Check out the newsletter at thepowerrank.com. Back onto the guest train this week, as we're going to welcome in a great tennis bettor, great soccer bettor, someone who I don't know a whole lot about, so this should be make for some interesting stories. Joey Isaks now joins us on Circles Off. We are now joined by professional sports bettor Joey Isaks. That is an alias. We'll get into that. You can follow him on Twitter at Joey Isaks, JoeyIsaks. Joey, thank you for joining Circles Off, episode number 69.
I'm thrilled to be here, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed listening to you guys, especially that Simon Hunter one. That was epic.
We appreciate
that.
Yeah,
we appreciate the compliments. That episode did blow up, and we got a lot of good feedback on that one.
You think we should do more of those? Is that good content?
Amazing. I think it's the best. And if I ever am coming off in this episode like remotely like that, please just roast me.
I don't think you will.
Imagine we had to do a roast of one of our own guests after the fact.
Who would we have
like
done
we're watching the interview we gave and then just roasting the answers. That would be pretty epic.
We would be bad hosts.
I'd take it.
No, I don't think that's going to be the case. But I guess honestly, first question for you, Joey, just if you want to give like a brief overview, background of yourself, how you got like started in betting, what you're betting right now, just give us the works. Like, let's hear it.
Yeah, this is like a first date. So I started betting like everyone, like super young though, like probably like 10 years old, 11 years old, like going like parlays and then I kind of got into the whole poker boom, and so I stopped betting sports and then played some college sports, so I didn't do it. And then after college, I just started betting all the time and really loved it. And I was like a complete square, always parlays and all that. So I think that's actually helped me as I've gotten to where I am now to understand like what it's like to lose, what it's like to not know anything. And I think that's really helped me like form partnerships with these people who want to like learn and do that. And, I can relate to everything that they're going through because I have been like a losing player for years.
On your end, so I have a very similar story to you. I mean, you've probably heard me talk about it before, but on your end, what was it that like allowed you to switch from being a losing bettor to a winning bettor? Like, was there some sort of internal light bulb moment that you had where it's like, I can no longer do this, I have to do this instead? Or was it just something that developed over the course of many years?
It took a long time. Honestly, like I learned from just handing accounts for like probably like I started doing that when I was like 24, 25. So like 12 years ago. And that's when I realized like this is nothing like what I'm doing. I'm gonna just not bet myself, and I'm just gonna, kind of perfect a craft of like, okay, how can I just get as many accounts as I can, and what type of business model works for me in terms of like, should I be taking risks? Should I be taking a free roll? And, because I didn't have much money. So that was like what I was trying to do at that point. And I think, everyone has to learn for themselves, but like it was really easy 10, 12 years ago, like especially because my friends were all young and betting sports. Now they don't. It's harder as like a 37-year-old to get accounts. But I was like one of the only people at 24 who could actually like who bet sports, who could like form a social sentence. Like some of these people are just so socially awkward and not good at getting accounts. And I kind of perfected a craft of like coming off as like a idiot, and accounts started rolling in. And
got it. I mean, it is a skill that's needed, I would say.
For sure. How was the LA scene there? So were you always in LA?
Yeah, born and raised. I'm a unicorn. I'm like one of the only people I think that have lived in LA for now 37 years almost.
Well, good shit. So how was the scene there, I guess, growing up? Like, was it, LA, for those who don't know, obviously in California, it's one of the few major states remaining that has not yet been, given the green light on regulated gambling. So you won't have the likes of DraftKings, Caesar, and the rest. And so obviously you have to rely more on the offshore space or other partnerships. So how was that kind of growing up?
Yeah, so right now I am almost, I would say like 80%, 85% PPH model. Like I'm trying to get as many counts, and I'm trying to bet a lot of props and trying to fill in. Most of the other straights are just to keep accounts going. Like I've always felt like, okay, every single person with PPH accounts have seen like what RAS account like bets look like. I want to like be different. I want to look different. So it depends on the prop and depends on the site. And if you're trying to like be like a new guy in PPH, like you should focus on probably like one prop or one site. If you can't beat like Gotham or Yopig right now with props, like you're never going to beat anything.
Right.
So I think that's a good way to start. Like find like the one prop that works for you and try to scale that up. And then you can do some like, this year, like I've done a ton, and I didn't in the past, but I've done a ton of head-to-head total bases in baseball. Not just like the broken lines on like One Bet Vegas, which I can call them out, but like that was so good for so long. And then Porter had to come on Twitter and just beg for it. And then 2 days later, they're just removed from the site. I don't know if you guys saw that, but
I did.
everyone is catching.
Yeah, I do
give the summary, I guess, Rob.
I mean, Porter's been a guest on Circles Off before, one of the earlier episodes, which was audio only, probably in the somewhere in the 10 to 20 range. You can check out the discussion that we've had with him. But I do really quickly just want to offer some clarity, because this is a very nuanced, advanced discussion that we're having here. And some people might hear some words like One Bet Vegas or Yopig or what Gotham and not have any idea what we're talking about. And these are just the terms for different paperheads. So most people who are betting and are acclimated to betting now, especially across the US, you're dealing with a lot of regulated sports books, the DraftKings, the FanDuel, so on and so forth. Paperheads, historically, you'd meet up with somebody, you'd give them cash at the end of the week, or they would give you cash. And these are just different types of paperheads. So there's literally dozens upon dozens, but just to offer some clarity there for anyone who might not be in tune with what's going on in the conversation. But essentially just more sports books is what it comes down to.
And also, like as Rob mentioned, the different paperheads, similar to how like DraftKings, FanDuel, and PointsBet all have different odds, they would all have slightly different odds.
Right.
Right.
So Joey, first, actually, let's start. I said I was going to get to this off the top. Joey Isaks is an alias. Why an alias for yourself, for one? And number two, how did you come up with the alias?
So when I started like giving accounts, I did it with a buddy who is the most like scared of everything. He will do on Telegram a secret chat. It'll be disabled in 2 seconds. Like this was before Telegram, but like, so he started going by Joey. So I was like, well, if we're going to share accounts, I got to go by Joey too. And then I was like, I made us a Twitter account. And then we've dissolved over the years. He was like, he literally grew up on my street. He doesn't like sports. He doesn't like betting, but he just knew that like handing accounts off to sharps was like a way to make easy money. He never sweat a bet. he would just be the guy who would have Monday morning, look at every site, send a perfect Excel sheet, and be like, all right, let's settle up.
It's a grinder. It's like making money. Love that.
Yeah. And we kind of like went our separate ways because he now what he wants is like 5 accounts that are firing like 5,000 a game on straights, not moving lines, and just wants to deal with that stress free. And I would rather have like as many accounts as I can firing small props and lower market and dealing with annoying bookies and being stiffed and that stuff. But I don't have a wife, and I mean, I do have a wife, but I don't have kids, so I don't have to worry about that annoying me yet.
Well, fair enough. I mean, obviously it's all about how far you want to take it and how much you're willing to put in terms of work. So like hassle free is also going to mean less money for the most part. And that's not just with sports betting. I feel like that's with everything. You know, you're always gonna have to deal with some sort of hassle. Any job.
I will say that totally. I will say I went to Betbash and I introduced myself as my real name without like realizing that no one knows me by Adam at all. And I'm like, hey, I'm Adam. They're like, okay, cool. I'm like, we follow each other on Twitter. They just blank stared. I'm like, I'm Joey Isaks. They're like, oh, hey, what's up?
Sorry, do you give out your name now and stuff? Is that not a big deal to you anymore? Or just
well, I've always gone by my real name. It's just my Twitter account is just Joey Isaks. And
fair enough. Did you just made the name up? Any meaning towards it? I guess that's curiosity more, but any meaning?
Yeah, so he went by Joey, so I just went by fakenamegenerator.com, typed in Joey, got a last name, and went from there. And I'm not like, I don't use Twitter like for anything other than like I am literally addicted to it, I think. Yeah. I don't really try to like, I'm not posting plays. I'm not like sweating games, tweeting play-by-play. Like I mostly just do it like because I like looking at people's tweets and you I think there was like a point 5 years ago where you can really learn a lot. Like you can absorb so much good information every day on Twitter. I think we've reached the point where it is like a chest pumping with like, since legals, it's a chest pumping, like dick, like, sorry, not to use that word, but like it's a dick swinging contest now. And it's like nothing really educational is being, and it's a lot of drama. Like this tout's fighting with this tout, RAS is fighting with this guy. And like, it's becoming like a little bit exhausting.
Yeah. I mean, I think you probably are at a level right now where it's hard to learn off Twitter and stuff like that. But for the most part, like for anyone new coming up, like there's still a ton to learn. The issue becomes more, Joey, what you're saying is like sorting through all the garbage and the mess out there, right? Because you're going to get pulled 100 different ways and you're like, oh, this guy's winning. He posted a screenshot of that. He hit this touchdown bet. And then, you don't really realize that guy just had a lucky bet and whatever, and he's actually bust. And then, there's other people who aren't posting plays who are winning the most. So I think, you could still learn a lot right now, even just beginning, like as a true beginner, you could learn so much. There's no real like articles that come out in like the newspapers that are about betting, you know what I mean? Or in the, not newspapers anymore, but newspaper sites, same kind of deal. Just nothing comes out anymore. So you really have to learn like kind of on Twitter or I guess Reddit or other forums, YouTube, stuff like that.
Oh no, I mean the Washington Post had that article, like, and every article is the exact same. It's line shop, it's let's do this. And I'm actually honestly like not like I tell these beginners, like I don't think you need to worry so much about price. And I think I'm in the minority on this. Like if you're betting $75, who cares if you're risking 92 or 94? Like if you like the bet, just bet it.
It's all relative though, right? Like someone who's only risking that amount, that $2 like would mean something to them. I get it. There is that argument about it. Like, we get this from a $5 bettor all the time, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to save myself 20 cents. It's like, okay, but over the course of this many plays, you're actually going to save yourself a total of $5, which is your standard unit. So why not do it regardless?
But I think what happens is that they pass on something like that because they find like, oh, my threshold is gone. It's a bad bet. And then they end up betting something different because they're going to bet something. Like we're not just going to sit on our toes and not bet tonight. And then they bet something assuming they have value, and because they heard that betting against the Patriots is sharp, so they got +7.5 and they lose.
So for us, the reason why it's so important at the smaller stakes, in my opinion, is because it's same with like regular like life. So if you have no money, you're broke, college kid, you waste all your money, spend anytime you get $100, you blow it on a chain or something like that. Anytime you get $1,000, you blow it on nice clothes. When you do eventually do have money, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to blow it. So it's more like instilling the value at the smaller scale gives you the chance to grow. So if you're a $5 bettor, and you're like, I can't bet, if you're a $20 bettor and you're like, I can't bet minus 112, I got to look around and open up a new book and then have that in my arsenal so I could get a minus 09. That is now the same thing that's going to help you actually instill that, like, you're going to start winning and then you can grow. If you're like, it's only 5 cents, then eventually you're gonna be like, it's only $50, it's only 500, or you may never get to that spot.
I just feel like if you're a $5 bettor, you should be looking at trying to also get like wins. Like if you think like you should add in like minus 300s, like minus, like you should add in like stuff like that. I guess what you're saying is like your bank account is $100, so you shouldn't be doing that. But like I'm a big fan of like find if you're really small, just find wins.
Listen, you could, it's just more along the lines of, for us, it's like, are you ever going to scale it if you don't have the correct principles in the small scale, right? You need to learn that in order to actually become someone who's going to make thousands or tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. If you're like, you know what I mean? Like, just because, so I would look at this as like, every person who wants to do this seriously is running like a business, right? They're running their own business. Now, whether your business is a business that makes $25 a year and you're a dollar bettor, or whether your business is, making 25 grand a year and you're $1,000 bettor, it's still the same.
Yeah. I think my last point on this is, I think what people that are saying what you guys are saying forget how emotionally difficult it is for these people to lose. Like when they lose, it sends them on tilt and then they bet something stupid.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
3 straight losses.
I understand what you're saying when you're saying like bet a minus 300. You're not saying like just blindly bet that, but you're saying like try to find something that's more likely to win. So you get a win under your belt and then you're more motivated to like keep a winning record and stuff like that, as opposed to dunking everything on like plus 1,000 parlays and then going down and then going on tilt, trying to chase, go to the casino. That's all very good points. Yeah.
That's just that's what I feel, but.
Yep. Just backtracking really quickly, because you mentioned Betbash. That was, by the way, our first ever interaction in person as well. You introduced yourself as Adam. I was like, oh, okay, nice to meet you, or whatever. And then I was at another event the day later, and I'm like, oh, I heard Joey Isaks is around here, and some guy pointed you out. He's like, oh yeah, he's over there. I'm like, oh. I was like very confused. But anyways, this is a completely random story because that was our first interaction. For these interviews, Joey, I do like to go in like not knowing everything about a person, but also doing like a little bit of research. So what I tend to do is reach out to mutual acquaintances of yours and see if there's like anything interesting I can ask you about. And I reached out to people that might be in your inner circle or know you. And they said, you got to ask Joey about his Baccarat story. In London, apparently had like a huge score playing Baccarat or something. I actually don't even know if people are like, if this is a coordinated effort to mislead me into like asking you a dumb question or not. But from what I understand, you have a great Baccarat story to tell.
Yeah, so it's a long one, and I'll try to keep it as short and sweet as I can. Basically, I went on like the biggest heater of my life, like in tennis betting. I know we wanted to talk tennis, and a mutual friend was, I guess, tailing every single bet for a lot of money, like way more than I was betting at this time. He made a lot of money, and so he wanted to like introduce himself, and we started texting day and night. We started, doing accounts together a little, like, and he wanted like 100,000 a bet kind of thing, like anything was on limits. And then we started having a lot of trouble getting accounts and keeping accounts. And he then goes, we need to go open up table games to get and lose and get high limits. So he goes, you need to go to Malaysia tomorrow and find anyone there who will fly to London with you and play Baccarat with I have an account with $6 million ready to go. So I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not doing that, but I'll go on Craigslist of, Malaysia and find it. And I find this guy, Aaron Chong. He flies to London. We try to set him up with accounts. Like all these casinos were rejecting him because he doesn't have any money to his name. And you need to do what's called like a bank guarantee, where they email they send a little 1 cent to your bank. The casino sends 1 cent just to verify funds. So it took about 4 or 5 weeks to get the Ritz to finally approve him for play. First couple days he plays, he does it fine. And then he makes, we bump up to like 100, 200 grand a hand, and he makes the money into about 10 million. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, let's stop, because I'm 10% free roll. This is life-changing money for a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
My friend was like, we're not stopping. He goes fly to London, like, you got to watch this. And he ends up making 24 million.
But like from what specifically, like, are you able to say or no?
My question is mostly around, is he on a true heater, or was there some sort of gaming
it's a complete luck.
Okay.
It's a complete luck game, which is what the whole like purpose was. And then the story like gets really weird because like, not to get like too cultural, but like, if he executes a cash out, it goes to the third party, the guy who set all this up. And they like, Malaysians are like trained in their head to like not trust white people, and they get cheated over. Like, and he was like, I'm never going to see a penny of this. You guys are going to take me out of the deal when you get your money. And so he's like, I need my percent paid in cash. And we were both like, I can't pay this guy 3 million cash.
Right.
Like, I don't have, like, our money is tied up in this account. So it became like the biggest like shit show in the world for months at a time. We're just like sitting with this money in the Ritz like account. Crazy stuff happened, but it just became a shit show. Let's just say that.
So did it end up getting paid out?
I got screwed out. I got screwed for various reasons. There was like some lawyer legal effort and everything, but like, and this whole thing ran deep. There are NFL players involved. Like it was like,
wow,
it was a crazy story.
All right. So do you end up getting any money from it, or you just get screwed on your percentage, or what happened? Or if you're able to say.
Well, I will say this. I went to a bank with a $2.5 million cashier's check, and I've never been treated so well. They have like 9 people waiting on you. And I was just sweating because I was like, this was like after legal battles, and I was like, I don't know if this is real. Like this is like shady stuff happening every day. And they were like, they did everything to like authenticate this cashier's check, and they were like, it's real. And that was like the greatest second of my life. And then a few months later, everything hit the fan, and I ended up not getting it. But
tough to hear.
That's another story.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a real story. I was not set up on this in any capacity, but that's really interesting because, I mean, it's outside of the sports betting realm, of course, but also just the amount of funds involved. And yeah, I think like the question that goes through my head as you tell it is always like, well, was there like some sort of advantage play? Because there was the Phil Ivey situation, right? Where he got the casino to agree to using a certain deck of cards, which was marked cards, which swung I think Baccarat is usually like a 1% house edge, just over 1% or something like that, but swung things in his favor, obviously knowing that some cards were marked. And I wondered if it was a similar scenario or not. I mean, you don't have to comment on that, but.
No, I'll tell you in a second what ended up happening, but there is like, when you have high stakes, like if you're going to buy in for 500,000, you can negotiate with the casino a percent back. And if you can agree like to terms that are valuable to you, like I was reading a story, I don't know if you know about this guy, he would get the house to agree to like a 5 million buy-in. Dealer, I think stays on soft 17, whatever the advantage one is, and all these things. And it would be at 3 a.m. only. Mm-hmm. He would have, and what he would basically be like hoping for is a dealer mistake, because that pays out the player. So he would do all sorts of like crazy things, like hire a marching band, hire strippers to like distract the dealer and like try to get them to make one mistake through the play, because that's going to like change when you're getting 25% of your losses back, like change it to like his advantage. And he made millions. But what ended up happening with me is that it turns out that the bank that funded everything was like shady and didn't fund any of it. So they were basically taking a free shot at the Ritz, and that's ended up what happening.
Got it. So the issue came with the funding. Interesting.
Yes.
So did anyone get? I mean, I guess we can talk this off the air. But so you won the 24 mil. I think you said it was. Did anyone get that money?
Yeah, Aaron got it. Aaron got paid.
Who is?
I'm still in touch with him.
So
he's in New
Interesting.
York right now. He got paid on the side, and I don't know how it was funded. I know that some NFL players were involved. And they got scammed, and that's kind of like when I started learning about this. I was like, I'm getting out. This is like this is running like a little too shady and deep for me. So.
Damn, that's crazy shit. So you mentioned off the top that this kind of started from just tennis betting. And you're going on like an absolute just run. So I guess if you want to talk more about that, you are known as a really top tennis bettor. So just I guess talk about that. Like how did that start? Were you originating? Were you moving? How were you coming up with that? And are you still doing it?
So yeah, I've done everything in tennis, from originating based on mostly like qualitative, like not through models, like just watching a lot of tennis and doing that and being like kind of connected into the whole tennis world. And I've done like attempted to courtside, and you learn a lot that way, like what is this, like finding the slow umpires, like this umpire's always is notoriously known for like changing the score slow. I'm going to go to his matches. Things like that. I've tried it all in tennis, and I don't bet that much tennis anymore. And my style is a lot different than Haru's, who I know you mentioned is like, would you go head to head? I would go head to head with him in a real tennis match. We actually played, but he's actually really good for just starting a year or two ago. So credit to him. And,
so to add more context, talking about Haru Masayan, a guest we've had on the podcast earlier, in an earlier
episode 12, if anyone wants to listen.
So yeah,
to that.
he's a top tennis bettor as well. And then I guess Joey, so you played him in real tennis then?
Yeah, we
played.
Are you
a tennis player?
Tennis. I did. I played college tennis.
Okay, so fair enough. You're obviously experienced. Yeah, you mentioned Haru just starting a couple of years ago. That's cool. So in a betting tennis match, though, you're saying, would you go head to head or no?
We're a lot different. He takes a lot more like underdogs and has a lot more like market influence. Like he'll send me a play and he'll take someone like plus 360, and it'll be like plus 220 by the time he sends it to me. And a lot of times, like honestly, like no offense to him, but like I will take the other side because I think he moves it too much.
Wow, that's blatant disrespect.
I tell him, I was like we were talking in the first round of Serena, and I was like, this is ridiculous, because he was on the other side. And I was like, this is ridiculous at this point. I'm taking Serena. But I look for more like right now, like really in-form favorites, and I probably have like maybe two, 3 tennis bets a week, and that's it. So it's not a big part.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't think he would take offense to knowing that somebody plays back on the other side after the line has moved that much.
Well, yeah, you're not getting the same bet as him.
Yeah,
so
me and Johnny were talking about this on the last Circles Off, but when I first started betting baseball, I probably opposed the best group in market on like 2/3 of my plays, because they were moving the market 50 cents on every single baseball game. It was creating value on the other side.
Totally. And I think that's honestly like something that when you're learning, like when you're like starting, I made the mistake 10 years ago, like when I was hearing about like Ed and RAS, and they would play a college basketball game, -3, and I would play -7, not knowing. I'm like, they must know, and I didn't realize, oh, I should be playing +7. And I know people who do that, and they do really well. And it's not like a knock on them. It's just like, this weekend when they released the Rams first half under,
Mhm.
like they moved it 2 points or something an hour before kickoff. That's like ridiculous. So I know a lot of people that played the over 21 right after.
Yep.
So if you know, especially if you know who's moving it, I think that's a big advantage. Like if you don't, then I think just blindly opposing it is a little harder.
I actually strongly agree with that.
Well, this is like the stuff that Porter's been talking about in all the Discords as well. So
yeah, I guess we might as well get your thoughts on that because it is pretty, it flows with the conversation here. But Porter, I did look up the episode. He was our guest on episode 16 at MLBK's Psychic on Twitter. And he
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. He recently tweeted the
My
value.
neighbor.
Is he your neighbor?
Like he lives very close to me.
Oh, you guys are just clogging up the rich neighborhoods in ritzy LA. Where are you? Were you guys in Orange County or what?
No, that's not LA. I was in Santa Monica and now I'm in Studio City. He's in like West Hollywood.
Oh, nice. Enjoy. You guys probably see some celebs all the time then, no?
I actually do know a lot of celebrities from friends of friends and playing tennis with them, but you don't just see them on the street that often.
Fair enough.
I believe Joey is good friends with someone from one of your favorite shows ever, Johnny, which is Entourage.
Who are you friends with? I'm
friends with Jerry Turtle. You know, we actually almost had our own sports betting podcast last year.
Yeah, no, we discussed it. Obviously, that would have been huge. Cool stuff. Yeah, Turtle from Entourage, Jerry Ferreira, I believe is his name.
Yeah, we're in a group chat and we send our picks every week, and then our third friend, our mutual friend Steven, who like created Entourage, who I know Jerry through him. He will like at the end of the week always say, "How'd you guys do?" And Jerry's like, "I lost," and it's like, but he tailed me on every play, and that's what I'm saying. He's the kind of guy who I'll be like, "No offense, I love you, Jerry." I'll send him a college football play, and last year he would say, "Oh, I took -10." I'm like, "Well, I sent you -7," and they win by like 7, and I push, and and I try to like explain to him, "Don't do it. Like you're honestly better off taking +10." But
is he a big time bettor? Like, I mean, not necessarily asking amounts or anything like that, but is he really into it, betting consistently, or?
I think he likes to bet NFL. But I think he's like $20.
Got it.
What he says.
Yeah, just recreational.
No, we don't have to include.
We're not unit shaming or anything like that. It doesn't matter.
No, I was more talking like, is he into betting? Like, is he into sports betting? Like, because he
he loves. I mean, he's very knowledgeable. His props that he does, and that's what I kept telling him. Like, and this is what I tell everyone. Like, he'll send me props and be like, I think these aren't sharp, and they win. And I'm like, do your thing. Like, you don't have to try to be like this sharp guy who's betting like, that it takes time to become like I know you do first touchdowns. That's like an art. And if you don't know how to price them yourself, you're just guessing. So just guess, don't try to look for value if you don't know how to price them yourself.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I like that though. Cause even for guys who watch the NFL, like you could find something on one specific market that you'll find and you'll be like, wow, I know this kind of thing. And then you just bet that one market. Like you could do that and bet $20 and you could win. You don't have to be like the biggest bets. Yeah. Like a random thing, totally. Like even just like a small market, like a number of extra points or something, or like kicker points. Yeah. Like something dumb. Like no one is realistically betting like hundreds of thousands of dollars on kicker points because you just can't get enough down on that. So like it's possible that you could just find something and be like, yeah, like Evan McPherson's going to go over for like these reasons and they're kicking much and like all this stuff. Like there's probably something there you can find.
Yeah. Like I had an account once. I don't know who was even playing on it, but they would bet team to take the first penalty and first time out every single week and lose every week. But it made me so curious. Like there has to be a way to beat this because obviously they think they can. And I don't think you need to be a genius to beat that. And so I tell people like, hey, focus on like the most random thing, bet it only and go from there. Like you don't have to bet receptions.
I'm taking Denver Broncos first time out blindly every game this season
until they figure out how they can snap the ball before the clock.
Until they fire their head coach. The amount of burn timeouts so far, like those are egregious.
I actually wonder though, like to that point, I wonder if you could actually watch every NFL game and just like actually chart how often they get the snap off right before the end of the play clock and stuff like that. And maybe there could be something that...
No, but it's not even about that. It's about, is the coach dumb enough to take the timeout right away? And they burned... Dude, Denver was down in the game last week.
They burned a timeout in the second half.
They burned 3 timeouts in the third quarter.
I saw that.
You could literally never burn it. You can never take a timeout in the third quarter ever in the NFL. It's just the biggest...
I agree.
You just can't ever take a third quarter timeout. Take a delay game.
Especially not on like... The ones that kill me are like 1st and 10. Timeout in the third quarter. It's like just take the 5-yard penalty and run the same play.
The only time I would take a timeout on 3rd and 1. That's it.
But also just like you can't burn that timeout. Like you have to just run your play at 3rd and 1. If you're down in the game, the timeouts are so valuable, especially if you're down. So they were down 3 points. I think they were down 9-6, something like that. And they burned all 3 timeouts. And then on top of that, they had to delay a game on a kick that Brandon McManus actually made. But it didn't count. So they also had to punt instead of taking a field goal there. So whatever. That the mismanagement I've seen through 2 weeks. Obviously, I watched both those games fully. One was the primetime game. The other one was a game I had a big bet on. So I ended up watching both those games like fully. And like I'm taking Broncos first time out. It's no doubt.
You had them in the. Let's do it. You had them in Survivor, right?
In Survivor, I did not have him in Survivor. I'll come clean here. Circa Survivor, I'm out. I was out both my entries week 1. It is what it is. I had Cincinnati and San Fran week 1. Both Cincinnati, in my opinion, was going into 1 o'clock, like going into kickoff on Sunday was the highest EV play, given that it was the lowest percentage of the pool. And
part of the reason why being the rule, right?
Of course. But obviously Baltimore probably would have started off. I've been like, that's the most negative EV, and that's the one major one that was a no sweater. Week 1 was tough. What did you have?
I took Baltimore. I took Baltimore week 1 of Circa.
Don't tell that to Brett Favre 444. He might come knocking on your door.
I replied him. I was like, I took them, and I don't think I don't think I'm smart enough to project ownership, I just want to survive. And I don't think what we perceive is other than the Bills, Chiefs, maybe there's 1 or 2 more teams, the rest of the teams could end up being decent. They could end up being not that good. So I don't think I need to save a team like Denver.
No, I agree. Saving teams is typically always doesn't work out. It rarely ever works out to save a team for a specific week, with the exception of this Circa contest. Obviously, you have to play the Thanksgiving. So I feel just because of that, you kind of need to make some planning for Thanksgiving. But outside of that, regular survival pool, you shouldn't be saving teams for week 12. I'm
actually glad I did not know that.
What? Yeah. So you have to make a Christmas Day and a Thanksgiving. So if you for example, used all the 6 Thanksgiving teams, you're just out on Thanksgiving. Yeah.
No one has told me this rule, so I'm actually really glad.
We did an entire episode on this, with the first point being you need to understand the rules and read through all the rules twice. And you're coming on 3 episodes later.
Well, you're still good. You only picked 2 teams, so you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, keep that in mind. And then also Christmas Day is another one where you have to pick. There's a few more games on that day, I believe. But interesting stuff, because those you're out. And it's not even about being out. If you took, let's say you already used 3 of the favorites, it's you got to take a 6-point dog. You might as well call it quits at that. I think though, Joey, you mentioned not projecting ownership. It's hard to do that, and obviously you want to survive and just win the pool. But the way that the bet works that you're making is the payout is unknown, right? So you know that there's a $6 million, roughly $6 million prize pool, right? But you don't actually know what your prize pool is. And by taking stuff that is lesser owned, if you can basically chart that out, run a sim, which is what we do, you can improve your prize pool by a significant amount. So it's kind of if you take the main ownership team every week and do survive, you're winning 200,000. So you're betting to win that.
I'll take it.
Sure, of course. No, I got it, but it's still hard to do that, right? So like if you're then like taking lower ownership teams, you're at a shot where you're winning like 6 million. Increasing the prize pool is the same as like decreasing your odds of winning.
So for me, I personally always try to project ownership, but what I've noticed, I've been in Survivor pools for a long time. We've kind of now reached critical mass on Survivor Grid. So there's a site out there called Survivor Grid that people consult for ownership and like for the EV. And
it's actually a solid site.
It's a great, the site, don't get me wrong, it's really well put together. It's projecting ownership, what the point spread is on each game, calculates your EV on everything. The thing is, it's now too popular where like everybody is using that. So now they'll see the highest EV play on there. And what I've noticed, especially to start this season, is that the projections that are publicly available don't come anywhere close to the ownership percentages. Johnny does his own, like personally. I'm going to have to start going that route as well because
but literally a waste. It's done after week 1. Like talk about an absolute waste of time.
Last week, I thought the smartest play would be the Browns.
Yep.
I know. So obviously Broncos last week. It's honestly really just dependent on the pool size as well. Because I think I would think of this a lot differently if I was playing in a Survivor pool with like 100 people. Like I would it would completely change the strategy. I'd probably go the chalk every week in the 100 person, no matter what.
Just biggest favorite.
Exactly. Like I would literally map it out and then just pick biggest favorite every week.
Yeah, like you maximize the EV for the entire season by having the point spreads for the whole year and just picking I mean, listen, at the end of the day, there's just so much luck involved in Survivor anyways.
Totally.
And, people all the, there was the Twitter thread around the Hammer Survivor betting article this week, which is like, you recommended the team that ended up being the most favored. And it's like, okay, week 1, I would give up all my losing entries to have Baltimore, like plain and simple. Yeah. At the end of the day, I made a decent bet beforehand. I'm fine with that. It's the same argument with closing line value, right? Where Spanky will be of the opinion that like I'd rather lose the bet and get the best of the number. I'd be like, no, like I would rather just win the bet and get the worst of the number. I mean, at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to do that consistently over time. Yeah. But like 1 week, you end up with Baltimore in hindsight ends up being an amazing play in week 1, even though they were that highly owned because of the fact that all the other favorites lost.
Right.
Anyways,
are you in the Circa Millions as well?
No, I've had trouble. So this is my first time doing Survivor. I was in a Survivor league last year where everyone got 10 entries. So it's a lot different strategy, obviously. And that's where I just did 1 entry this year. I've done the Circa Millions in the super contest before that. I just don't enjoy it. And I have trouble with the proxy websites. They're like made by 3-year-olds and the like submitting things always hard. So it's more stress. I end up forgetting to submit my picks 90% of the time. So
fair enough.
Just doing one Survivor this year. And I'll probably, honestly, I'm having a lot of fun. So I'll probably end up doing like 4 to whatever the maximum is next year.
How you did in Circa Millions?
My strategy would be different.
I have three entries in Circa Millions. I think 7-3, 7-3, 6-4.
Not bad.
I think right now. I'm actually not confident off the top of my head, but that had a lot of Green Bay this past week, which was nice, and Philly on Monday Night Football, which was nice. So nice. I was sweating the primetime games. But
I'm a little below you. I think I have 7-3, 6-4, 5-5.
Yeah, I think honestly, if I get lucky and win a bunch of coin flips, it is what it is. I tried to avoid Jacksonville was a free play this week, essentially in Circa because the line was +3. In reality, on the Circa entry, they were +4. I tried to avoid it because my number was somewhere in between there, hoping that they would lose. I lost basically a gimme on everything. But there's so much strategy that comes into play. I honestly hate the contest. At the end of the day, I literally, I'll enter them because there's the chance of the big payout, right? But I hate the weekly process. Like I'm racking my head and I'm like, what is the point of this? Like, I could spend 3 minutes, and that's what I did this past week. I just spent 3 minutes firing off random games.
Yeah, fair enough. So, okay, back to Joey here. Sorry to
we asked him about the Porter question about because Porter, well, yeah, this has gone off the rails, but in a good way. I like when it goes in different directions. But Porter, who was a guest on Circles Off before, recently tweeted about the value of CLV, closing line value today, not being equal to the value of closing line value 5 years ago and 10 years ago. And I know that you recently, you kind of retweeted that and quote tweeted that on your Twitter. Do you echo that sentiment? First of all, I just want to know your opinion on CLV as a prop better. Like, is it something that you're looking at on the regular? And then just your commentary on whether or not you think that the market nowadays is filled with, let's say, less respected or less people who should be less respected than it was 5-10 years ago.
Okay, so the first comment, I think Porter was a little distraught about the FCS games Saturday, and because I was texting with him during it, and I think that's spurred his tweet, and I think he was just saying to me, I hope this isn't like oversharing and he's going to be like, what the hell, but he was basically like, I can just figure out what plays are going to go in like his accounts that are getting straights by just being on Spank odds and seeing the screen light up. And he's like, this is stupid. That was his like kind of
no
gripe.
shit though.
Yeah, I mean, anyone could do that. Obviously, I mean,
I could also see what like Rob's playing in hockey.
Yeah, anyone.
Yeah. So,
but that's not different. Like, is that really different than 5 years ago? Like, the biggest groups are always going to take the screen regardless.
Right. I mean, the thing about CLV is like, in FCS, yeah, it's probably pretty stupid because like you're not going to get like someone playing the opposite side against you. Like if you release if Ed released like Mississippi, like I know he's on like Mississippi State under 55, let's say this week. If he released over 55 and it moved to 57, 58, someone that's smart is going to play the under really quickly, probably too. Like FCS is just not going to happen. So like, I think that something like that. And then like something like props. Yeah. Like here's my thing with props. And this is like, goes back to one of the first things that I mentioned is that 80% of what I'm doing right now is PPH sites. So I guess another small part of the pie is I've started to give props to groups because I want more. And I will notice that there's one group I give to and I will give them -110, -120, whatever. It's -170 in 5 minutes. If I didn't do that, and sometimes I don't do plays to them and I end up having more than if I did give it to them, because I just feel like blasting my own accounts as much as I can, and I'll end up with more than the 500 they get me. It doesn't move at all. So in that regard, what is like, I don't consider CLV important in that case because I know why it moved.
Yeah,
fair enough. I mean, it's difficult with the props, so you don't really need to.
Yeah, but so like we've talked about this before, myself and Johnny. It's come up in the last few weeks, and there's been some listener questions about it when we did the Q&A as well. And I think in major markets, at least, it's pretty efficient. Like you have a lot of people that are competing to get down big dollars. Mm-hmm. And I do think that generally, if a line moves too far in the wrong direction, there's going to be someone else out there that is going to hit it back the other way. And listen,
that exists in football props.
Right. So like Porter is being critical of Adam Chernoff at the end of the day. He doesn't reference him by name, mm-hmm. but he references him by the Twitter followers and so on and so forth. And, having a Telegram chat, and you should just reference him by name, or they should have a conversation about it. But regardless, Chernoff will release a play in a Telegram chat, and there's 6,000 people in there that are going to go and bet that play. Now,
there's some people in there going to wait and then fade it. But.
Sure. Agreed. There are.
Right.
But regardless, the market is going to move instantaneously. Probably going to move a point, sometimes more than a point, sometimes less if it's around a key number, whatever. But it's going to move. Now, this is not like these aren't plays that are happening at 12:59 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. These are, there's a play that happened while we were recording today that came out. Now the whole market is available. If somebody wants to play back at that, they have all week to do that. And if someone does have value on the other side, then they're likely going to do that. So in my opinion, like to say that, oh, the closing line value is meaningless because there's people betting that, like, he doesn't respect Chernoff. He thinks that he shouldn't have market influence. That's, I mean, whatever. That's his own prerogative. He's entitled to that opinion. But to say that, okay, now he's just influencing the closing line, well, there's a lot of time for someone to bet it back. The only scenario I can personally see is if, maybe it moves far enough, but somebody might say, there's like a little bit of value in the other side, but not enough where I'm interested in getting involved. And maybe his early bet influenced the close. But I have to think that that's few and far between.
Yeah. Like one thing that he has said to me, and we've talked about it a bunch, that I think is one of like the smartest things. And we share plays. Like we'll be like, hey, it's very rare for props to be on, like everyone is on the same thing. In the end of the day, like it's very rare that we're on the opposite side. I don't think that's like ever happened. We might have some slightly different plays, but like end of the day, you're never on a different side of the same bet, at least in baseball. That's where I do most of my stuff. But what I think he's saying is that, at least to me, when we've talked about this, is he thinks that people like Pat McAfee and like those people have market influence. And it's like, and I don't really see that. Like, I do think, at least talking to someone at FanDuel, like, and I forgot who, but like he'll say something and 60,000 people play his play, which is insane. But
sure, that might move FanDuel's
that's not
number.
moving anything.
Like,
well, I mean, it doesn't really move because FanDuel doesn't move on action. That's the issue, really.
Yeah, and out of those 60,000 people that play it, probably a lot are under $1 or $2.
Yeah,
and a lot of them have accounts that are profiled elsewhere that are like, we're not going to move this number because this person is not,
The same thing with Jake Paul, his new pod, when they were giving out some stuff.
I know a lot of people were giving that guy crap, that Marco guy. That video surfaced. I find him entertaining. I'm not going to lie.
Which
I
Marco
listened to
guy?
some of that. The Marco Parlay guy.
Oh, Marco Parlay?
Don't know.
I've listened to it. People were giving him shit for the one guy bought a point. Did you watch this video?
I did not, but perhaps Zach could pull it up. We could watch it live on air and critique it.
Maybe it might show up on a Tweets that Trigger Us segment
No,
at some point.
let's do it now. This is a perfect chance. So
He
this
says,
is
like,
what's the video? Do you have
being a
it? Joey?
hooker.
How long's the video?
Let me
by the
find
way?
it.
How long is it? It's like a minute or no?
Very short.
Okay, let's watch it on air.
Chargers versus Chiefs, minus 3.5. The Chiefs over under 54 and a hooker.
This might be the most watched game of the year. And I mean that because who doesn't want to see Justin Herbert go against Patrick Mahomes in a divisional matchup? I think this game should get blasted on the over. I think there'll be 60 points, 70 points scored. But that also makes me think, should I take the under? Do these teams know each other now? Like, is that a trap?
You mind on telling us who you like in this game?
I think I'm leaning currently at getting an adjusted line at +7 for the Chargers.
I really like the Chiefs this weekend. I like it bought down to 3.
You like the Chiefs?
Get yourself some field goal value at that half point.
Yeah.
And
Bro,
I
they
do
middled
the
it.
Chiefs.
Right?
They did middle it.
They middled it. The guys middled it on that on who got the touchdown, Josh Palmer.
By the way, though, that video is hysterical because it has all of like the gambling tropes, right? It's like, I love the over. Does that mean I should take the under?
I write that to us every week.
So in our Betstamp Telegram every
last week.
Yeah, Johnny just kind of writes like a pure like square description of why he likes a game. And he always does stuff like that where it's like, oh, everything's pointing to this one side. You got to go the other way type of thing. But the field goal value comment is the best. I love the Chiefs so much this week that I'm going to buy a half point, which is hilarious. Get that field goal value.
What did they win by? 3 or 4?
They won by exactly 3.
4.
Oh, so they...
No, 3 because 27-24.
Yeah, 3 on that Palmer touchdown.
On the Palmer touchdown and
the backdoor cover by Herbie with the broken ribs or whatever. Yeah, no, so crazy. Yeah, that's funny. That's the ultimate rookie move is to be like, yep, this game is for sure going over. Like, how is the total not 60? It doesn't make sense, which makes me think I'm unloading on the under, lock it in, official pick. Like that's literally like what people used to do. That's so common. But so sorry, Joey, we're cutting you off here. What was your thoughts on this? You like this? So you're saying you kind of enjoy this?
I enjoy it because they're not guys who are trying to sell you something that they're not. They're two guys who like to bet football, and one of the guys has a lot of money. You know, where the money came from is not betting. I don't think he tries to pretend that, and he's just entertaining. He's good energy. He's, you know, he's not trying to come off as this guy who's in the lab and all these things and crunching numbers. It's fun. It's refreshing almost.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I appreciate that as well.
There's obviously a market for this type of content, right? Like we look at what gets consumed in the space. Lots of stuff that's more casual like this gets consumed. For me, it's just a matter of whether the hosts are representing themselves as experts or not. And I think that's where, you know, I think of myself when I was in my early 20s, right? I was buying tout packages. I was scrolling through Twitter. If I saw someone was like on a 5-game win streak, I'd be tailing their bets. Like you don't know any better. When you're not educated in sports betting, you just don't know. So you might come across some sort of piece of content where you're like, oh yeah, like like, especially if somebody's passing themselves off as an expert, you're like, oh yeah, I'm tailing this person or not. But if you see more casual content where it's like, okay, this guy's talking like me and my buddies talk, you know, he doesn't really know anything, then I think it mitigates a lot of the damage that can be caused by producing that content.
But do people still tail those picks? I believe they did. I believe they do.
They do because they want the sense of community, right?
Yeah,
like they want to cheer
off the bat.
Exactly. They want to cheer with a group of people, or they want to cheer against. You know,
That's why Trent's so big, man. Like book it, Trent. That guy's like honestly, I've talked to him multiple times. Like guy's actually hilarious. Like his content is so funny when he's doing like the key, like the bam. It's literally hilarious. Like I don't see how, obviously he's not gambling with an edge right now or anything like that. Although he is improving. I've seen I hear some of the stuff he says now, and I'm like, okay, he's learning a little. He's learning a little now. But either way, it's like it's fun, and he's not marketing himself as like. I mean, I guess he does say like bet the house, bet the farm, mortgage, everything, but he is joking. Like you can tell he's joking, obviously.
You know, I've actually like, you know, one of the first days that he had like no followers this time or not many, and they introduced this like book it HQ like social media, and I replied, this is the worst business idea I've ever heard, and he didn't. I stand by that in some regards, like, but
his business went
created
out of biz.
Yeah. You're right. You're right, Joey. Like, and sorry to cut you off, but like, book it is Trent. Like, there's no product anymore. It's just Trent. That is what book. So like, the business idea was actually not a great one, but Trent has developed himself as a huge creator.
His initial business was an app where you could post like TikTok videos for sports betting, and it would just be on its own app and stuff like that. And then they had like all this
sweat games.
Yeah, but it wasn't actually like built well, and obviously like. Building a separate app platform for something like social media is extremely difficult, right? So I don't think that worked. I don't even think they push the app anymore. Now they're just like a content the surgical stream and his thing, which does pretty big numbies.
Yeah, I mean the guy has more followers than DraftKings Sportsbook, I think.
That's on Twitter. On TikTok's even bigger.
Yeah. And so like, and if you notice, like anyone who's in his like little community who like does these, they start using the same like verbiage as he does. Like, oh, this team stole my coins. And he is like, they just follow what he says. He is like, honestly, the guy is so smart. I have so much respect for him. Like, and I was like, I messaged him like, dude, I like talk crap, but like you win. You made it, I guess. Like, but is he like a sharp gambler? No, but he's a content creator, and that needs to be like a distinction in so many ways. Like when we grew up, there was no content creators, but now it's like, why even bother to try to be a better? Just be a content creator.
I somewhat agree with that. Actually, I agree with that in a lot of ways. Like people are always asking me like, oh, Rob, how do I become a sharp bettor? I want to do this. I want to do that. And it's like, why? Like there's so many other ways that you can leverage the
Joey, have you seen Luke's locks?
Is that on your guys?
Yeah. Yes, have you seen Luke's locks yet or no?
Yeah, I saw him eat the pepper.
Okay, good. What are your thoughts so far on the show?
I enjoy the guy's good. I mean, like that's the thing is like, it's almost like to be a content creator is like to be someone who like is trying to get accounts. Like you're trying to like convince these people that you are this like, I don't want to use the word like scam, but like you're trying to convince them like to be in your cult. And like,
It's probably way harder than like, so a guy like Jake Paul and like Logan Paul, obviously, like I'm a big fans of both of them and what they've done.
Yeah.
And like what I say is like, it's not a mistake. Like also those guys had to eat shit for a bit before they actually came up. And so did Trent, by the way. So Trent, he followed us early on when he was starting Book It. It was around the same time we launched Betstamp, and obviously like we're still running the app and doing quite well. But in terms of like his stuff, obviously he shifted to the content. He was posting that content. And for those who don't know, Trent was posting that same content. And I don't mean to like, this is not an insult, Trent, if you're watching this. Like Trent was eating shit for fucking a year. He sucked for a year. He got no followers. He was posting the exact same content he's posting now with like 3-team parlays, whatever, trying to do little shticks, posting his plays, videos. He didn't take off. They had Liv Moods on Book It, and she grew the following, ended up leaving. And then Trent was like, all right, well, because he used to call himself like CEO, like Book It CEO. Be like, I think that was even
It's
his.
a very Portnoy-ish.
I think that was
yeah.
like his Twitter as well, right? And then he switched it to Book It with Trent, and he became like, he stepped down as CEO and he just started doing content instead of Live Moods. And he's like probably 100 times bigger than her now. Not in terms of following, but in terms of like actual pull right now.
Well, she's done well for herself too. Like she's amassed a very large following. She got connected with the volume with Colin Coward.
She did well too, of course.
You know, the thing I truly respect about Trent, and a lot of people will just rag on that type of content. Now, obviously, we've discussed this ad nauseum. There's a large market for that type of content. Trent, to me, does not misrepresent himself in any way. He films videos about him losing bets and being like, you know, he'll go 0-5 in a nut. He literally got reverse swept on a money line parlay this week of all favorites. He picked 5 NFL favorites and they all lost. Lots of people would run and hide from that, or like people would attack them and they would be like, they'd get on the defensive. He just owns it. He's like, yeah, like, you know, whatever. Like it was a horrible day. I'm not great. And it's very refreshing to see someone take the path of just being real with the audience. Yeah. Like I don't want to use the word degenerate because I don't know Trent well enough to say that, but he obviously enjoys betting. He obviously is not good at it. He's obviously owning all of that. And he's now monetizing through content. And I think that's great. I think good for him, because he could have gone down the path of like doing the infomercials, like, you know, Vegas Dave. Vegas Dave is like the Cabo airport now. When you land in Mexico, you see the biggest advertisement for this guy everywhere. He could have went down that path. And instead he's just like, no, I'm just going to put out real content. And I genuinely respect that. I know there's people that will disagree with me, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I think when you produce entertaining content in that fashion, I think it's great. I think it's just great for sports betting.
I completely agree. And if you're 20, if you're 24, you want to be like a sense of that community and like just tailing them for like 10, like with the boys and those things. Like that's what they say. Like, and it's fun for them. And like some of them are going to take, you know, like any small sample, like you're going to have one outlier who probably loses too much and chases and does those things, but he would do the same thing if he was following you or following me or following anyone. And at the end of the day, like they, especially with COVID, like it is like taken away so much sense of community to like be in that little Book It community. Like these kids love it. And like you see the videos of him like at stadiums being recognized, like the guy is like a branding genius. Like
done
end
super
of the day, Vegas Dave's a branding genius.
But he does it in a different way, which I completely disrespect. Like obviously Vegas Dave.
I respect. Oh, you're saying you disrespect
Vegas Dave is making a killing. Let's be real here.
Yes.
But he knows he is intentionally misleading people. Like he is a scam artist through and through. Yes. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's scamming people, and he is content to make his money that way. Which I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that if they could be in Vegas Dave's shoes, they would do the exact same thing. I'm personally not one of those people, so I can't. But he's just he's a piece of garbage human being to do what he's doing. Whereas like anyone who wants to compare Trent to that, there's not even a comparison. It's like, you know, that's one person is just trying to produce entertaining content and doing it in a way to build a sense of community and not misrepresenting himself. The other is flat out just running a fucking scheme where
Yeah.
he's preying on people who don't know any better.
Time out for a sec. If you guys haven't checked out Luke's Locks, actually check it out. This is not supposed to be a mid-roll advertisement. It is one of the funniest shows. Basically what it is it's Luke's Locks. He's got a locker. And the way it works is Luke, our guy, he makes a pick every Monday and Thursday for the primetime football games on Thursday night and Monday Night Football. He puts something at stake every week. Week 1, it was if I lose this, I got to mow the lawn at the office. There's a big lawn. So he's going to waste his time going out mowing the lawn. He won the pick. So if he wins the pick, he gets some cash and he doesn't have to do his challenge. Week 2, he bet that if he lost, he had to wax his leg. He lost his pick, got a full leg wax, like full start. Incredible content. Go watch the video. It's funny. Third pick, he did, if he loses, he has to eat a ghost pepper. Did it. Obviously, we take side bets on the stuff as well. Myself, I was in a side bet, like, will he cry when he got the wax? Didn't cry. I cashed out on that. Also, some other stuff we had. And then for his recent pick, Monday, he risks if he loses, he's going to get his ear pierced. Is he going too far right now for this low in the show? For this level?
Luke, it's week 2, man. Settle down, buddy.
Absolutely. But
The ear
the ear pierce, like, thank God he won. Like, he had risked it on an Eagles bet too. It wasn't like they were 2.5 point favorites. It wasn't like he was betting this on like a -1,000.
The funny thing about it is we filmed demos to this prior to the season. So we ran like they never saw the airwaves, but we saw preseason, Luke's Locks, right? And he was doing stuff like, okay, like I'm going to risk my headphones, right? Which is valuable to him because he's always wearing his headphones. He had a flight that week and he couldn't take his headphones with him because he lost the pick and he was miserable or whatever. Then, one of the episodes is like, I'm going to risk, he put his coffee cup in there. He's like, I won't drink coffee for this week, which he's reliant on coffee as well. So like, those, but now it's like week 2 of the season. He's walking around the office like, yeah, he hates the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, I think I'm going to do, like, if I lose this week, I'm going to get a Maple Leafs tattoo or what. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm like, but it's week 3.
Love
Like,
that.
you're going to have to up this every week. So we're going to try to scale it back a little bit. And by the way, it should be noted for those out there, like anyone who wants to think like, oh, they're forcing this guy to do this. He's the one recommending all these things. We're trying to scale it back and being like, Luke, no, it's okay.
We had to
calm
talk
down.
him out of some stuff.
Oh, man.
Like,
You want
he's-
we'll eventually do that one that we talked him out of. If he still wants to do it, if he is pushing for it, we'll do it. But we have this show is actually going to be huge. Luke is a character, he's the funniest guy. Everyone who watches it loves this show. Check it out. You can find it on the Betstamp Instagram and the Betstamp TikTok, or on Betstamp Twitter, Hammer HQ at the Hammer HQ on Twitter. Give it a follow. Hilarious. We got to plug it. Like, that actually is the funniest show we have right now. It's great. It's a minute clips.
My freshman dorm, there was a kid who needed money to pay for his education, and he would do anything for $5. And every week, everyone was trying to come up with new things to do, and we'd all pitch in $5, and he would do it. And by like week 4, it was just too insane. We were like, let's just all give him $5. Like, he was,
like, we don't actually want to see you do this stuff anymore. Like, just have the $5. Yeah.
he chugged a bottle of soy sauce this big,
No.
and then he mixed it with like nacho cheese sauce, and it was like he was in the bathroom for like a day or 2 straight. We were like, this is messed up. This guy made $25 to literally like and then he ate live goldfish. It was like, okay, this is like animal cruelty. Like, it was bad. I knew someone
who did a very similar bet to eat a live goldfish for $500, and they ended up getting a tapeworm from it.
Yeah,
well.
This guy got sick too.
Lost like 30 pounds, had to get hospitalized for $500. I was not a part of that bet. Nobody accused me of anything. I heard this. This was a fellow coworker of mine when I was back at the score who told the story to everybody. But just in case, I don't want to get like people coming out. Yeah, it's gross. Like,
That's actually disgusting.
yeah, for nothing.
Yeah.
This guy's like a software developer who's making like $150K a year, and it takes like a $500 bet to eat a goldfish.
Well,
That's
ridiculous. Okay, Joey, we're gonna close off here. Thanks so much for the time. It's been a while. It's a longer episode. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on. Our closing question is one that we ask to every guest, and the question is: if you could go back just 5 measly years, you mentioned you're 37, so when you're 32 years old, and talk to that 36. So if you could go back to the 31-year-old version of yourself, what piece of advice would you give them?
Are we talking life or betting?
Either or both, whatever you want to provide. Drop some knowledge.
So 31, I met my wife around that time. So I would say to myself, you should marry her in case she decides to listen. There's no way she listens to the end though, but maybe her dad will. So I would say put a ring on it. And then, honestly, like, man, it's so hard. 5 years is a long time. Like, you don't realize it. Like, we had never heard of, like, I hate to like be nostalgic, but like, you never know what's going to come. Like coronavirus came. I guess I'll tie in betting. Like, uncertainty is going to create like the biggest opportunities for you. So like, just learn every day to become like a, smarter, listen to everyone, and, just do your best, like in terms of like end of MLB season, like there's going to be great opportunities with like crazy lineups in the last, weeks. Like this guy's usually bats 8th and he's going to bat 1st, like go rush and click over 0.5 bases minus 120 when it's, that's what's set when he usually bats 8th or 9th. So like uncertainty is going to create, good opportunities in life and good opportunities in betting. And I guess the last thing I will say is I think at 31, I thought, I want to be betting forever. This is great. And I think at 36, I can't wait to get out. So I will announce this to you guys. If I do win Circa Survivor, I'm out. Michael Jordan style, 6 million. And I'm done. Never going to place a bet again in my life.
Yeah, but if you're picking the chalk every
Yeah,
week, you're going to
win
split with like
$200,000.
400 people. So, I mean, you're not going to be able to get out on that.
How much you have to win to get out in Circa Survivor?
6 million.
I thought
I'm going to sue my proxy because he told me if I win, I get 6 million.
Well, technically, if you're the solo winner, you get 6 million.
I just assumed that everyone who wins gets 6 million. I thought they're crushing it over there at Circa. Everyone is like talks about how great it is, and I can't believe how nice this pool is.
They did have an overlay in the Circa Millions, but you're not in that contest.
Yeah, I'm not in that. Next year maybe. But
if you win the Circa Millions, you do actually win the prize.
Correct.
But like there's a set prize. But anyways,
so how much would it take to get out?
Yeah.
I think if I split it, maybe, but I don't know how much it would be after taxes. If it's like 1-4, I'm probably not out.
But okay, you seem like a perfect guy to ask also the $1 billion flip. If you got you listened to previous episodes, obviously here. So if you had a flip of a coin, fair coin for $1 billion, if you win or lose or zero, win it's $1 billion, lose it's 0. What's your buyout? Like how much are you accepting to buy out there then?
$1 billion?
1 billion with a B. Yeah.
How much would it cost me to not? And I can choose a number and I can say, okay, for
this much money, I forego the opportunity to flip a coin for $1 billion. So obviously 500 million is your EV.
Yeah, 500 million is the EV, but
I would take 80 million.
80 million. 80. So here's my thing.
I bet I could get you down to 10.
Yeah. No. Time out for a second here, Joey. So you take 80 million. What's your lowest possible amount that you're taking?
Yeah, I think 80 million.
So you're not taking 79 million.
I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I think 50. Here's the thing. This is funny because a really rich person asked me recently, how much money do you consider? It was a completely serious question too. He goes, how much money do you consider someone who's rich? And I said, and then obviously it's different in LA than everywhere else. And I said, because he said LA, and I said, I think someone who has 5 to 10 million. And he goes, I wasn't even thinking over 100. So
see, like I would think of it in terms of not the actual dollar amount, but the percentile.
But what can you buy with 5 million? How is your life different with 5 million versus like just grinding out a paycheck? It's not that much different.
It is different because like someone grinding out a pay. Like,
so sorry. I'm not talking about grinding out a paycheck. I'm talking about Joey specifically. So like how you right now, you're not grinding out a paycheck, but you're grinding edges. You obviously have money. You have enough money that you're not, and again, maybe I'm generalizing here, but enough money where you're definitely not struggling for your meals. You're not worried about, hey, if I have kids, I'm not going to be able to put them through school, stuff like that. So how is your life different if you get an extra 5 million versus what you have now? And by the way, I'm very clear when I say this, like if you have no money and you are struggling to pay rent, then like 1 million, that to 1 million is the biggest jump you're going to have for sure. But from you to an additional 5, is that a big jump in your life, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would try to get as much real estate as I can and just live the exact same life. But
So there you go. So you're still living the same life.
But
just
so
making a
it's
few
you just
small
have an investment opportunity that you wouldn't have had with less, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like fair enough. But like when you're saying
you're
like,
talking about Circa Survivor.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, here's the thing is like, if I can't make money, I can't retire with winning Circa Survivor 3 million split, right?
No,
I'd have to find a way to make
invest
money.
that and have some like cash flow, I guess, or something like that. But
But if I can't figure out like a way to make money, then yeah, I'd have to do something for money again. Like, I would think like, maybe I do like content or something, like, like you don't have to like just do like the 24/7 betting thing.
if I
with the
got
money in the
offered the
bank.
$1 billion flip, I'm flipping the coin. If I win, sunset sailing. If I lose, I'm going to be a speaker at high schools about how I had a chance to win $1 billion and I flipped the coin and lost. I'm
What?
going
So I
to be a speaker for like gamblers and for like a gambling hotline.
here's a number at what, because I say this about really rich people. If you have a certain amount of money, I think you have the not the ability, but like the responsibility to change the world. $1 billion, you have life-changing, like world-changing money. Like, whether it's climate change or whatever. Like, at what number are you a world changer, basically?
Yeah,
me,
no,
that's
that's what I
80
said
million.
as well. Oh, you said 80 mil's a world changer?
I think
80
at
mil.
80 million, you're a world changer.
80 mil, you're barely buying a mansion, yacht, and a jet. How you gonna change the
No.
world? No, I'm kidding.
No
That was
way.
just
80
a joke.
80
Didn't hit as
million,
much
80
as I
million,
thought.
you're making like 4 or 5 million a year by interest.
It's true.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, 80 you can do some serious damage on the investment front.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. I mean, yeah, I still don't actually know what I would take. I feel like it changes every day.
See,
Well,
like my
let's
number
find someone-
my number changes depending on whether or not my wife knows that I have this
Yeah.
opportunity available to me. Because if I said no,
That's-
like I'm not taking 10 million, she would just stab me on the spot and be like, yeah, I'll take the 10 million. You can, whatever, like forget this guy. So like my personal risk tolerance is much higher. So I take, a larger amount, and I assume that you're in a position, obviously being a married man, where, if it's you versus, I don't want to make assumptions. Actually, I shouldn't make assumptions, but yeah, there's more to it than just myself as well, which complicates the matter even more.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I guess it's nice to not be married.
This is an individual thing. Like, it's like, you got to tell your wife, like, I'm making this choice. Like,
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I guess you're right. Like, it's kind of like, what? How do you feel, Zach? Like, isn't it kind of nice to not be married? You don't have to like deal. You don't have to like run a decision through like another person. Like, I'm actually being serious here. Like, it's kind of like I don't realize it because I've never been married. I'm a little younger than you, but it's crazy.
I think here's some life advice, right?
Be careful. Your father-in-law might listen to the end of this.
Yeah, he's my number one fan. Now, you find someone that you're gonna have the same decision as.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's some knowledge, right?
I didn't find that person.
Yeah. If you're gonna disagree about like the things like that, it's just maybe not gonna be as smooth as. That's what I'm gonna transition to. I'm gonna transition to a relationship expert.
My father-in-law does not
After
listen to this show. So I did not find that person. That's not to say I'm not happily married. I am, but definitely there are some disagreements on the monetary front on several occasions. Several.
So he thinks that the fake name is the funniest thing in the world, and he has a wedding present because I tweeted the night I proposed to my wife. Big announcement coming up later tonight. Stay tuned, Twitter fam. And he got the tweet framed. It's sitting in our. I'll show you.
And he gave it to you.
That's unreal.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty great gift. Like, it's more like of a sentimental value thing. I'm a big fan of those gifts sometimes. Oh, big announcement. One quote tweet, one like.
Oh, he
probably
got it
both
early.
him.
He
Yeah,
got it
very
early.
Wow,
He screenshot
2019.
early. That's hilarious.
That is a good one.
Good on him. Okay, we'll wrap
He
up
thinks
here.
it's funny.
Joey, thanks so much for your time. It was a pleasure to get a chance to meet you. We never met before. It's awesome chatting with you. Thank you very much for the
Nice.
time. And then
Do you have
for
Twitter?
Me personally, I don't have Twitter. I do have a
Wow.
burner. I do have a burner. I keep it fully anonymous.
What do you? So I was gonna say, what do you do when you go to the bathroom?
No. Listen. I'm not saying I don't read Twitter. I just have a very
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I'll get into it. Like, people have asked me this for so long. Like, why don't you have Twitter? Like, I don't post on social media. I hate posting. I have an Instagram as well.
Yeah.
I have not posted in maybe like 5 years. I do not want to post. I hate posting and other people knowing about my stuff and like what I'm doing. It has nothing to do with the fact that I don't have the time for it. I don't have this, like, I don't want to deal with like comments on my posts and like, it's fine. If I want to like reach out to someone, obviously like that is where it's a little bit of a stunt, like to be able to fire a Twitter message or something like that.
Yep.
I do it through a burner. Now that we have the Betstamp account, if I need to reach out to someone, I'll reach out through that or through like the Circles Off account and be like, hey, this is Johnny. Like, mind if I get, can we talk on whatever?
I mean, anyone can follow Johnny on LinkedIn at any time as well.
Yeah,
he's
but
big,
also
big
like,
on his LinkedIn account.
Okay, here's another thing. No, I'm not even big on LinkedIn. Just like we obviously do have the business, like a lot of people looking for jobs, stuff like that. I went to business school, worked. Like I've been since, man, you know how many messages I get on LinkedIn? It's actually insane. Like I get at least like,
Really?
like I have it certified. So like I don't read all the messages. It sends me a message request and I have to like accept them. But I am at least minimum get like 15 messages a day on LinkedIn from like
Rob, do you have LinkedIn?
I do. Yeah. I listen now, like my LinkedIn has become a disaster zone of recruiters, right? Whether they're recruiting me, like want to recruit me to do other stuff, or whether they want to recruit people to Betstamp. So it's not the most useful piece of social media for me because I find every time I log into LinkedIn, I spend just half an hour filtering out the fluff. But I'm on every social. It's just a matter of whether or not I use it regularly or not. And I'm a Twitter addict.
the
Are
more
you on TikTok? You're not on TikTok.
I am on TikTok. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The more you put yourself out there, the easier it is to grow and get opportunities. I will say that, like, not having a Twitter, like, obviously I could ellipse probably a small following, even just from this podcast. Like, our podcast account has a couple thousand followers, but it's just like Rob has gotten so many opportunities from just being big on Twitter and for him being able to voice his thoughts and other people, you know, essentially being like, yeah, this guy's a cool guy or this guy's winning better. This guy has all this stuff. And obviously, like, I don't get that kind of opportunity just not being on Twitter, but like I'm okay to offset. Like I can't have everything, and I really just don't want to put the time into running like a full on good social media. So I've honestly just too much stuff going on to be able to upkeep. It almost is a full time job. Think about what you do with your Twitter, man. Like you got to keep that active almost on the daily at a minimum. Like retweeting, quote tweeting, sending messages, responding. Like,
oh, it is the amount of consumption on social media a day. If I checked like my phone analytics or whatever, there's lots of apps that tell you how long you spend on each app. I don't even want to look at my Twitter because and then I'll start adding up the amount I spend over a week, a month, a year. I am very like, that's my habit. I pick up my phone. The first thing I do is unlock it and I open Twitter and refresh.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just my natural first behavior.
You have, if you're betting, you have to like, you almost need Twitter because of the like beat writers and the injury news
notifications. Just notice for sure.
And that's the thing. I created a Twitter for like a few days of just those, and I got bored, and I was like, I'm going back on mine. But yeah, no, I mean, you need Twitter, and as addicting as it is. But I do have like one rule. I do sleep my phone in like my phone is in a completely separate area than where I sleep.
That's not a bad idea because I'm on my phone in bed pretty regularly. And then I have trouble falling asleep. So I might actually take that up.
Try it.
If I had like someone to manage my social media, then I would get on social media. If I had like someone to manage it for me. But I'm so far.
Do you realize if you said that in the episode, you will get at least 20 messages on LinkedIn from people to do it.
Zach, you're gonna have to cut that out, huh?
No, so like, if someone will manage my social for me in a sense of like keep it. I mean, honestly, like I'd love to have this is completely unpractical. People are going to be like, wow, this kid's delusional. But if I had like someone just like full-time videographer following me around all day, everything I did, photos, whatever, and then they manage the social, like a straight up celebrity, like a Logan Paul type guy, then yeah, I'd love to get social. Like you manage it.
Fake it till you make it,
I'll
buddy.
keep it in. Like, yeah, I'd love that. Like hire a full-time videographer and just document my whole life. But I'm not to that point yet.
No videographer. Let's bet. I say over under 17 messages get sent to you. I'll say over.
But for what? From just this clip going out? Like, I don't know.
From just this clip, I think you will get over 17 requests to do your Twitter.
For people to manage my Twitter. Okay.
Yes.
All right. We will see. If you
What's
want
the
to,
time frame?
contact me, you can contact me on LinkedIn. You can contact me on this, or you can contact me on the Circles Off Twitter account. DM that one, because that one I have access to on my phone.
Okay. And if it's under 17, do I have to do anything?
Let's do like drinks at Betbash 3 or something like that.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, it isn't all you can drink event, but like done deal. We'll see.
Okay. I was gonna get a tattoo, so I'm down with
damn.
drink.
Thank you to Joey Isaks. Thank you to our producer, Zach Phillips. Thank you, Johnny. This has been a monumental episode number 69 of Circles Off. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Same thing on every other podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Music. We do appreciate the support, and we'll talk to everyone next week.